Welcome into another exciting edition of Locked On Eagle Squad Show. You got Harry Mays, Louie DiBiase, Jason Martinez, Mark Farzetta with you. A.J. Brown always gets painted as the diva. He even said as much on the Art Museum steps when he was celebrating a Super Bowl championship. We'll talk about the real A.J. Brown and more on this edition of Locked On Eagle Squad Show.
Fly, Eagles, fly. It's the Eagle Squad, sponsored by Gametime. Everything Philadelphia Eagles every week, covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the city of brotherly love, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Eagle Squad Show starting now.
Welcome into the show, everybody. This is Locked On Eagle Squad Show. So much to get into today. We're going to start it off with A.J. Brown. We're going to get into Jalen Hurts and his praise of Quinyon Mitchell, who only has picked him off in practice already on an underthrown ball. So is Jalen Hurts the guy? No. We'll get into that conversation, though, about Hurts praising Quinyon Mitchell, as well as right guard Tyler Steen running away with things, including getting a lot of praise from Jeff Stoutland. So Stout on Steen. We'll get into today's show, as well as the injury bug biting hard in training camp already. Now, I just want to go around the horn real quick. All right, Harry, I want to
that's another show. That's a different show.
Do we get points for our takes?
Not anymore.
Based on how good it is?
Can you mute me, Mark, at some point?
Hold on. What was that, Harry?
Yeah, mute me.
There it is. He's got the power.
There we go.
Here's how we mute.
Yeah, it's like when they were frozen on the screen.
I feel like Woody Page.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Rest in peace to that show, my man. Tony Reality. Oh my goodness! But we're gonna get a survey here. Take a survey.
All right.
Harry, I want to ask you first. A.J. Brown, diva or painted in a bad picture?
Painted in with a bad light, because I originally thought when he was in Tennessee, looking at it from 1,000 miles away, he gave the impression that he may be one of these wide receiver diva dudes, right? Who's uber talented, great to have on the field, but might be kind of a little bit TO-ish in the on the not attractive side of the ledger. But then when he came here, I quickly got rid of that opinion, which was obviously uneducated and from a far distance. And to me, he's been really a model teammate from what I can deduce, and his on-the-field play. He could be a diva as far as I'm concerned because he's so damn good.
I agree. All right, Jason, diva or painted in a bad light?
I think it's a little bit of both, because I think every star wide receiver has to have a little bit of diva in them because of the nature of the position. It's crazy to think sometimes a guy with that much talent that can impact a game as much as they do, sometimes will only get targeted 4 to 5 times a game. So yeah, you got to have a little diva in you. You got to demand the ball because, you want to impact the game more. He's an alpha athlete. Alpha athletes want to control the game. So there is some of that in there, and I don't think it's in a bad way though. But to me, he is a really good team guy. He does say all the right things, and to Harry's point, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Bryce Harper. I had this vision of Bryce Harper from afar, that he was like a total douche, and then he came here, and I was pretty surprised at the kind of team guy he was, and maybe he was when he was in Washington, and when he came here and took on that role of being that guy paid that kind of money, became more of a team guy. But sometimes she looks good from afar, but is far from good when you get closer. But with both of those guys, I think that they're both leaders. So, and they're demanding. I don't think it's anything that would be painted in a negative light, but there's a little diva in there.
Okay, a hint of diva-ness. Okay, Louie, where are you at on
touch of diva?
Yeah, is he a diva? Is he a selfish player that puts his individual stats over the team? No, because he wouldn't have been able to make it in 2 cities that were surrounding their offense, supporting their running back as the featured player. Derrick Henry in Tennessee, Saquon Barkley, and a running quarterback in Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. No, he wouldn't have made it in both teams he's played for if he was a selfish diva. But at the same time, like Jason said, all receivers want the ball. And I don't like when A.J. Brown sometimes, like, tries to deflect and say that it's media created at times. Like, he was upset after that Panthers win that the passing game wasn't working. And that's fine, though. Like, you're arguably the best receiver in the NFL. Of course you should demand more. Like, I believe week 2 in 2023, when him and Hurts were added on the sidelines, he said it wasn't about targets. I believe it was about targets because then for a month and a half, the guy set records for the most consecutive games of 120-plus receiving yards in NFL history. So it's okay that you want the football. You're an elite top 3 wide receiver in your prime, and you're playing on a run-first offense. So I don't think he's a diva where like he puts that ahead of the team, but I absolutely do believe he gets frustrated at times with the setup of the offense. And he's been even talking this offseason about wanting to prove to the league that he is that number 1 guy. So I think if they do what they did exactly last year again, I don't know. I'm curious to see how he handles that a second consecutive year.
Perfect segue, because he was caught up with by the NFL Network. And as we know, not many people can catch up with A.J. Brown, but yet one of our old friends, Colleen Wolfe, caught up with A.J. Brown and interviewed him at training camp late last week and asked him about diva questions, focusing questions, teammate questions, all this great stuff, and how you can repeat. Now, we knew already, one of the first things that he talked about, we knew already that he moved on from the Super Bowl victory rather quickly, maybe even some people's opinion too quickly. Like 2-3 days after the Super Bowl, he's like, yeah, I don't get a lot of joy in this. I get a lot of joy in the process of getting ready for this moment of winning the Super Bowl. That's where the real joy is, which is surprising to hear, but nonetheless, that's how he views it. But then he got asked this question, and I found this very interesting because we talked a lot about the sidecar with Jalen Hurts. Is the guy that's driving is Saquon Barkley. The guy that's in the sidecar is Jalen Hurts. So then where does that leave either Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown? And A.J., who I believe is not a diva, but someone that has every ounce of confidence you need to play wide receiver in the NFL and every ounce of confidence to know that you can change the outcome of the game yourself, not just Saquon, not just Jalen with his legs or anything like that, but you yourself can get open for that big play time and time again. That's what I believe he has, confidence more before any diva-ism in him. But he said, not the sidecar. I was in the back seat last year. And the context in which he said it was, I found out last year, because that's the question what he found out about himself. He goes, I found out last year that I really, truly love my teammates. It might be one of those things, now this is my take on the situation, it might be one of those things where you tell yourself that throughout the year when you're not getting the numbers you think you still should get. Now, he missed a number of games last year, but still was a 1,000-yard wide receiver, was still one of the top players in yards per reception throughout the entire NFL. So I still think he had a pretty good individual year. But he said, I learned last year that I truly love my teammates because I was in the back seat last year watching other people cook. Watching Saquon, watching Jalen do their thing. And he didn't say footnote, but he implied I was like a footnote to last season. Now, I certainly think he's a lot more important than that. But I truly loved my teammates. And I thought, I'm like you, Harry. When I watched him in Tennessee, I was the same way. I was like, this guy's talented receiver, diva, blah, 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 blah. Jason, I agree. He certainly has that in him to an extent. And Louie, I don't think it's fair to just get the broad brush painted when you talk about a diva. I think it is so unbelievably easy to paint a talented wide receiver who has a personality as a diva. And I'll put it to you like this. Philadelphia fans, if you travel the country and you're with a group of people that are also Philly fans and one person in that big group might do something that's a little out of the ordinary for whatever fan base you're visiting, whatever enemy line you're behind, people around you will go, oh, what do you expect? A Philly fan.
Bunch of Eagles fans.
A bunch of Eagles fans. It is so easy to label us as the bad fan, just like it's so easy to label A.J. Brown the diva wide receiver. So I think it's almost unfair. His talent leads other people to believe he's something that he's not in terms of a locker room poison.
Let me ask you guys something, though. I totally agree with everything you're saying, Mark, but you heard him say he took a back seat last year. You heard him say earlier in the offseason that the Super Bowl was great, but the process is what's most important to him. He also said dominating his craft is important to him. He said in a press conference last week to the media, he wants to show this year he's the best receiver in football. is there any part of you that's a little curious, like if they go as run heavy as they did last year, and this year Dallas Goedert stays healthy? There's some big Dallas Goedert games. Devontae Smith last year missed some football games as well. If there's a Smitty game or two, like, are you at least a little bit curious if there's not a balance, that there's not a little bit of frustration from AJ again? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think he'd be in the right to feel that way. But I'm not going to lie. There is a part of me that's very curious about that.
Which week do we get the blow up on the sideline?
That's what I'm saying.
Happen in Tampa? High temperatures. It's going to be hot as hell. Week 4, maybe they get out to a little slow start. They lose to the Chiefs. Maybe the Rams beat them, and all of a sudden they're in Tampa. I was looking at maybe 2-2,
or they beat the Giants 17-10, and Jalen's got 130 passing yards.
I love
one
it, Louie.
touchdown. And again, I'm not trying to start anything here. I'm just curious because, like you guys said, all receivers are wired that way. Devontae is wired that way too. AJ just gets the brunt of it. So I'm just naturally curious, like, what's going to happen with the identity of the offense this year?
Yeah, and what happens if Jahan Dotson steps up? What if Dotson steps up and
we'll
steals some shine?
We'll open the phone lines, 215.
Yes.
Yeah. This is another general paintbrush. Oh, Philly media got to be negative. No,
exactly.
Right. I'm not. That's why I'm trying to add context to my point so this doesn't get clipped. Right.
I get what you're saying. No, this is totally going to be a YouTube.
It's not a bad thing. I wouldn't be mad at AJ, but I think it could happen. I'm curious.
Okay, that's great. I love the way Louie's thinking here. Because that's the sports radio guy in me just digging that.
I mean, I started in this business in sports radio,
exactly.
So I just can't kick that DNA. So.
Exactly. You were at WIP. But don't you find it interesting? Because the top 3 wide receivers in this league, in no certain order, Chase, Justin Jefferson, and A.J. Brown. I don't think any of those guys are divas. No. And that's kind of rare.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
That's a good point. That's a really good point, yeah.
I don't know if there is a diva, a Terrell Owens type of player anymore in football, right? At least right now.
Tyreek
Hill definitely
is. Tyreek Hill, probably.
Yeah, that's the one.
Right? Men's, at the least. All right, so when I do think, because look, everything looks great right now for the Eagles. Everything looks awesome. Coming off the Super Bowl championship.
Too good.
I have truly never heard a team act like a Super Bowl championship is a negative, and that's the way they're acting. They're like, who cares about last year? It's this year. Forget about that.
Right.
All that stuff. I've never heard them downplay a Super Bowl championship more than I've heard this team downplay last year. So with that being said, it does make my mind drift. It's like, okay, well, I'm not concerned about the Super Bowl hangover really, because it seems like everyone is on the same page here. Like, what are my concerns? Like right guard, we'll get to in a second when it comes to Tyler Steen, looking like he's doing great, and Jeff Stoutland saying great things about him. Defensively, we've talked before about that word that was used by, I think it was FoxSports.com, saying that the Eagles reloaded. They didn't rebuild. They didn't retool. They reloaded. So different ammunition, same unstoppable weapon. So where does it go wrong? The number one thing that everyone jumps to always, any team can do it, injuries.
Yeah.
Number one thing always. But then after that, what do you start thinking about? And when I go into the deep, dark recesses of my mind, I think about Saquon's getting all the love, even more than Jalen, even more than anybody else on this team. Who is that going to bother the most? Because last year, if you remember, Louie, you alluded to the Panthers game.
Mm-hmm.
Before A.J. Brown came out and answered the question about what this team needs to work on, passing, that week leading up to the game, I remember it was Reuben Frank, NBC Sports Philly, asking the question, hey, your numbers aren't what they used to be. But like, I'm paraphrasing. And A.J. Brown just stood there, Jason, and went, smiled, smiled some more. And they go, and he just stopped and paused and went, you guys are trying to get me. You're not going to get me. I'm just happy the team's doing well. But how many times are you going to ask that question of a guy like A.J. Brown and expect the same type of, no, I'm here to help the team, whatever I can do, good Lord willing, things will work out, that type of thing. How often can you hear that from a guy that, as Louie did point out, and it's right, he wants to make sure he's doing everything he can. He doesn't just want to block. He wants his 1,200 yards. He wants his 7, 10 touchdowns, whatever it might be. And he wants to go out there and prove that he is a vital piece to this puzzle that's trying to put together another Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that could take the Eagles down. You look at them, because right now we're doing everything on paper. and it looks like they reloaded. They are as good of a team as last year. What's the quickest way to burn down a house of cards? From inside, right? And that's what people look at. Other than, injury is always going to be the number one thing. Jalen Hurts goes out and blows out a knee, or Saquon, those things can derail.
Jalen Carter gets hurt.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's so many. What about if Lane Johnson were to go down, or
That's
Jordan
the biggest one.
Mailata, right? You look at where they dominate their games from, and those things will always knock down a house of cards. But if you can't go, because you can't sit there and predict injury, the next thing you do is you go, well, what's the next way that everything can be torn down? Because the national talking heads have to talk about that, is from within, a civil war. And, what's the easy target? Well, the quarterback and a wide receiver. It's never a defensive back and a linebacker. You know what I mean? Like there's no cachet to that rub. But the receiver and the quarterback rub is always an easy one. It's very rarely too running back and quarterback. It's receiver, because of the amount of times, the limited amount of touches they get and how they impact the game when they get a lot of touches versus no touches.
Yeah, but I mean, I know these wide receivers need their targets. I get it. And it makes them feel like they're a part of the game. But all you needed to do was go back and look at the couple games where he was out of the lineup in September. And the way the game changes with the way this offense goes about their business without him on the field, whether he's getting targeted or not, he's the vital piece to make the whole thing
Well,
work.
and that's why he was justified in his that's why I'm saying that yes, he was upset last year, but I think he was vindicated in those feelings, because like Harry says, outside of maybe Lane Johnson, who's the other guy outside of Jalen Hurts you take off the field on this entire roster and the team drops off the most? It might be A.J. Brown, for even as good as Devontae Smith is. Like, A.J. has that impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think he's a wildly impactful. Like right after, talking about the other position players, not quarterback. I think you're talking about Saquon, obviously, and then right there is A.J. Brown. And
I would say A.J. even over Saquon, to be honest.
I think, if I'm being honest, it is something that I am mildly nervous about.
Really?
You just don't. There's always a volatility there. Bringing the book on the sideline and things like that. Like, he's a team guy. There's no doubt he towed the line last year. Yeah, but that could be fleeting.
Especially after you get a ring. Like, yes, after you get the ring, then it might be a little bit harder to do that team first minute. And again, I'm not predicting anything, but I think you guys are right. The balancing of egos, fragile after winning championships. You've seen a lot of dynasties, or not even dynasties, but like consistent contenders kind of fall that way because, again, I'm not saying the Eagles, their focus is what they're prioritizing is changing right now, but it's a big roster and a lot of guys have different goals.
Look, we're still Eagle fans and we have scar tissue of the weirdest things derailing an opportunity.
2023 was only 1 year ago, right? And it wasn't a receiver and a quarterback, but we had issues with the quarterback and the coach, and we saw that right after 2017. So we've seen this a lot.
Yeah, and change of defensive play caller as well. Just everything.
That's the other one. You guys said like quarterback, receiver, that kind of drama. The only other one that you see a lot is quarterback and coach. So that's another thing this year is like Hurts, Patullo. How's that dynamic? Hurts and Sirianni again. I would say that's like the only other one I'm watching.
Yeah. The thing is, I was just thinking about it when it came to A.J. Brown in this past season and things that could derail it. You talk about a order of events here, and you talk about, establishing yourself in your career. You establish yourself, then you want to win a championship. You want a championship. You certainly got paid even before last year. So what's left for A.J. Brown? He got asked that question last week, and he said, just continue to solidify. And he mentioned legacy and all that. As you're saying, Louie, that's what's next. So if you're talking about legacy, you're not going to solidify your legacy as one of the greatest receivers ever or best receivers ever if you stay on a team and continue to get just barely enough looks throughout a season to make your numbers look pretty damn good.
Yeah, where you're Mike Evans, you're just getting just 1,000 a year.
Yeah, just get 1,000 a year. You're not doing much, but you're still getting 1,000, still steady, all that stuff. So after you win the Super Bowl, after in his order, established, got paid, won a Super Bowl, now he's probably thinking about his legacy in the league. So if he's thinking in that order, then you could talk about this year as the potential again, to go dark here and negative, yeah, what could destroy this team? Jason, you're right. From within, that's the only thing that I really look at as a legit threat. I still feel like the Eagles are going to be one hell of a football team this year. Great football team. They'll compete for a Super Bowl. But when you do think about what could make this go horribly wrong quickly, it's blowed up from within. That's pretty much what it looks at.
Yeah.
When we come back,
I'm hoping
go ahead.
I'm hoping real quick that this team is coming together already. Like, you see the things they're saying. There's a lot of cliches that they're saying, and about the Super Bowl not meaning anything and moving on, and we're not defending anything. So you hope that everybody's, living that, and they're not resting on any kind of laurels, and they're saying the right things, and you just hope that that's exactly what they're believing as well.
Yeah. On that note, this was a team that last year, when stuff was starting to hit the fan a little bit with some struggles, they all talked about the hard conversations they had. Yeah. I think the difference between, for people that need to hear this, the difference between A.J. Brown and Terrell Owens is that Terrell Owens would take those tough conversations personally. A.J. Brown takes those tough conversations professionally, as does Jalen Hurts.
So he'd have the conversation. McNabb wouldn't even have those talks with T.O.
Right.
Like, get him away from me.
Don't forget the agent part of this, too, the agent impact. Drew Rosenhaus exacerbated it.
Yeah.
And
it's an understatement, yeah.
Yeah, and that team had no inner structure to deal with a guy like T.O. They were not prepared for him.
No, not at all.
They needed him too much that they weren't prepared for him.
Right. When we come back, one of the standards of this team is the offensive line, and the man that runs that show spoke to the media this week and had some amazing things to say. We'll get to that in a second. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Back after this. And let me tell you right now about the incredible people at 5 Hour Energy. I know this is something that Harry would like to take advantage of right now when you talk about 5 Hour Energy and how incredible they are, because it's time to fuel up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game with 5 Hour Energy. Let's be honest. Some days on the course, on or off, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp. Maybe you're working late. Maybe you're rushing to the course after work. Whatever it might be, you need that focus. 5 Hour Energy can certainly provide that. And now with the Energy Transfusion, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. Weirdest thing when you're out there on the golf course and you're not feeling like yourself, help snap back into it with a 5 Hour Energy. Golf is all about the good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage carts, of course. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's 5hourenergy.com today. That's the number 5, hourenergy.com. You can use the promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your first order. That's 20% off your order with 5hourenergy.com. The offer is valid only through September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, but go to 5hourenergy.com with promo code LOCKEDONGolf.
You know, it's funny. We're talking about A.J. Brown. Just the other day, I saw that Treylon Burks was released by the Titans.
Howie Roseman can do the funniest thing possible this week.
Oh, my God, because that's the guy they drafted to replace A.J. Brown after that horrendous
trade. The trade was straight up. It was basically Burks for A.J. Brown.
Unbelievable.
Let's not go there.
I mean, my God.
Let's not that's fuel on a fire.
Louie, are you saying re-sign Treylon Burks?
That'd be so funny. I think so. I mean, he's got to be better than Johnny Wilson, right?
It would be the biggest flex of Howie Roseman's career.
Oh, yeah.
It would be so funny.
And then make something of him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Can you imagine he turns into like the wide receiver 3 of the future, and it's Brown and Burks together?
That would be great.
Oh, man. That'd be amazing. I traded this guy away to get like a Hall of Fame talent wide receiver, and then turn the other guy into like a legit number 2 target around
solid
the NFL.
Player,
Even if it wasn't here. That'd be glorious. Yeah, solid play, right? That'd be glorious. Speaking of solid players, I think a lot of people look at this Philadelphia Eagles team and they say the most solid spot that you can look at, other than running back or whatever, is the offensive line. And we've talked about it throughout the entire offseason. We don't know who the right guard's going to be, but you're confident whoever it's going to be because it's coached by Jeff Stoutland, you know? Well, Jeff Stoutland said something the other day. He said a lot of things, actually, that were really interesting. One was just his legend, you know, in the city of Philadelphia. Our old friend Dave Urem, KYW News Radio, asked the question about whether or not he was comfortable with being described almost as a deity, a demigod in Philadelphia, as the dean of Stoutland University. And he said he was embarrassed by it. He basically answered the question exactly how you would want a very talented, humble man to ask the question. I thought it was very eloquent in his words. But then later he was asked about Tyler Steen specifically and whether or not he is running away with the right guard spot, as a lot of us hoped that he would. And what really was interesting to me, and we all played sports at varying levels and all that, various levels and all that stuff. When the coach is telling you something, Jason, in hockey, coach is telling you how to be a better goaltender, and he's telling you what to do, and you're just not doing it yet. You know mentally what you need to do, but the coordination isn't there yet. The mental know-how and the physical ability just haven't met yet. And Jeff Stoutland's talking about Tyler Steen, and he's saying, I've been asking him to do a couple specific things since the end of last year, even during last year, and he wasn't doing them. Now, coming into camp, he's doing these things out of the gate. And it's funny, as he's saying that, he literally stopped for a second and he went, today, I was watching him and I was thinking, he's doing the things I've been telling him to do. It's not a matter of willingness. He wants to do it. It's not a matter of arrogance, like, what does he know? I can do it this way and be fine. It's a matter of listening and then the skill, the physical skill, catching up to the mental know-how. So, look, I think if you're taking odds and betting on who was going to be the starting right guard, it was going to be Tyler Steen. But to hear that he's progressing in this way after already putting down a nice foundation last year, Harry, we're looking at this guy start to take that major step forward, and I think that's where he starts really running away with that starting spot.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. I mean, to me, he was the sort of the leader in the clubhouse, if you will, based on, you know, what he was able to do last season, you know, in filling in and so forth, and where he went to college. The offensive lineman out of Alabama seemed to do pretty well on a large scale in the NFL. So I really wasn't worried about it. I know we're trying to pick through stuff, you know, on a Super Bowl team to say, what concerns you? And you got to come up with a couple of things. And this was obviously one because it was a new player coming into a starting role. But to be honest with you, and I had no concerns, and I guess it's all because of the guy you were talking about, Stoutland. It's like we've seen him take, you know, an Australian rules football player and make him one of the best left tackles in the NFL in a matter of a couple of seasons. And it's like you just sort of expect, like, he wouldn't be on the team in this spot given the opportunity probably if Stoutland didn't think he was capable of making something of him. I think we talk about Fangio, you know, having sort of a sway on certain players and maybe acquiring players now that he's been here in his second year. It's like, well, he can make something of this guy, obviously, because he's here. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't be here if Stoutland said, no, I think that guy's a bum. Like, they're not going to bring that guy. They're not going to draft that guy. They're not going to acquire him as a free agent or whatever the case may be. So I think I've just been sort of taught to think that things are going to work out on the offensive line as long as Mr. Stoutland is here.
Because if he signs off on a guy being here, he sees the baseline skill set. A lot of people look at the NFL, the NBA, pro sports, and say, they're finished product leagues. They're not. They're not a finished product league. Sometimes a guy has to come in and be developed. Some guys come in, they're absolutely finished products the moment they walk on the field. But there are some guys that need further development and need to develop as a pro player. And what Stoutland did with him last year is what you see with a lot of guys that need that. They have this baseline skill set that needs to be nurtured. And he planted seeds last year. He wasn't doing things, but he planted these seeds of, you know, the core principles, the core tenets of what he needs that player to do. And then you see the kind of those seeds turn into something this season. Now he's doing those.
Now you're
things.
Sounding like Sirianni, planting the seeds and growing a flower.
I thought I went back to 2021 for a second.
But it's true. You want to plant these things in the player's head, the expectation. You want to teach him how to do them, even though they're not innate to him yet. But eventually they do become that. And this guy, Stoutland's got so much cachet because of what he's done with guys like Mailata, who, damn it, Harry, he didn't know how to put on the equipment when he got here.
Yeah.
And Becton last year, too. I mean, he was a first-round bust before he came to Philly.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it and you go, this guy, if he sees that you have the baseline skill set, no matter how much you have played the position or where you played it, he can teach you. Right. He is Yoda. Like, he can teach you to be a Jedi if you have the disposition or the skills required to do it. He'll bring them out.
Yeah, Louie, you bringing that up is terrific because you think about Becton. Where was he? The Jets, who has been just a perennial losing franchise. Coaching staff after coaching staff is the Jets, and they took a first-round pick. They thought he was good enough to take him in the first round, and then he looked like he couldn't play
because he comes here. Baseline skills.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I don't know if Tyler Steen has an elite skill set. I think there's a reason the Eagles have always kind of looked around like, can we do better than this? I think that's why they liked Mekhi Becton last year. But remember what we're talking about. Like Harry said, we're trying to nitpick a Super Bowl roster just to find any sort of flaws. Like, this is the 5th starter on your offensive line. You have 4 elite players surrounding Tyler Steen. I include Cam Jurgens in that. I think he could take an all-pro jump in year 2 this season. Yeah. If Tyler Steen is good, not great, and that's your 5th player on the offensive line at right guard, you're fine. Like, that's the thing is, I think last year kind of got us spoiled to the idea that you're gonna have stars at every single position. And I think Steen is good. I don't know if he'll ever be great. I don't think he's gonna be a Brandon Brooks at right guard, but I think he's a fine player at right guard. Again, he came out of Alabama. He's a versatile piece. Played tackle and guard. I mean, and who knows? Maybe one of these rookies, they end up panning out and they do have a higher ceiling. Maybe it's Quinyon Green. I highly doubt it. But I think finally the Eagles are giving Steen that chance to just be who he is, right? And I think the competition right now doesn't seem like there is one. I mean, it's Steen exclusively first team. Quinyon Green's not getting any reps, and neither any of the rookies either.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be great. It's really the point. He can be good. He'll be fine.
Do your job. That's all he is.
Might be better if he's not, because then you can't pay everybody top 10 contracts. So
exactly.
It would be nice if somebody you could pay the 12th most money in the NFL at this position instead of number 1.
Can we talk about
that happens quickly. Real quick? They set the market.
What?
Talk about Stoutland real quick. Like, this guy means so much to this team, and it seems like he's okay in that role as an
totally.
Most guys are on this career ascension chart. They just want to keep. And
the Eagles are very fortunate that he's not that guy.
It is really rare. Now, he gets paid way more than any offensive line coach because of the value. That
they probably pay him like an offensive coordinator.
As he should.
Yeah. So he's being compensated that way. But this guy, I mean, he is a wizard. He is. It's unbelievable what he's been able to. You remember when we worked with Trey Thomas? Trey would bow at the altar of Stoutland. I mean, so many guys that he has affected, and the way that his former players talk about him is the reverence is, oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. You rarely see that kind of reverence from a player and really good players at what this guy's able to do. And the fact that the Eagles got this guy and he is happy in his role is a huge thing.
They're lucky that they have 2 of those guys. I mean, they've dealt with so much change and turnover at offensive coordinator, but Vic Fangio's not going anywhere either. I don't think he's going to get another crack at a head coaching job. That's just not the kind of coach the NFL looks for anymore to run a team. So, obviously it stinks they have to keep getting in new play callers for Jalen Hurts. But I mean, I think your 2 best assistant coaches on the team, Stoutland and Fangio, aren't going anywhere. So that's huge for continuity.
Yeah.
They told Stoutland, they asked him this question a couple years ago at his same time. I think it was actually during the pandemic, and they asked him about, hey, do you have any aspirations for doing more than an offensive line coach? Because by that point he was already there 8 years, I think. And he just laughed. He just laughed. He's like, I'm good. Like, this is I play when you reach the limit of your ambition and you're great at that spot. Why change anything, especially if you're getting paid? They did give him a new title, and they put that run game coordinator on his lower third, if you will. But you talk about a guy that just is able to see talent, similar to also comparing to Fangio, looking at Zach Bond, being like, this guy ain't an edge rusher. This guy should be in the middle of my defense. And you look at Jeff Stoutland, he looks at a guy like Mekhi Becton and say, well, the Jets are messing this one up with a guy as a tackle. This guy could be your guard. Comes in, he's a great guard. And then you also look at a guy like Tyler Steen, who, if I'm not mistaken, Vanderbilt, he I don't even think was he a guard at Vanderbilt, and then when he goes to, I know at Alabama he was a tackle, and then they announce him at the draft as a guard, and it's like, okay, well the Eagles have made it pretty clear what their intentions are for him, and here he is, most likely going to be your starting right guard going into this season. It's pretty amazing. There is one thing though. There is one. You talk about looking for blemishes on a Super Bowl roster. You talk about looking for blemishes with something a guy as perfect as Jeff Stoutland could have. There is one blemish, gentlemen. I hate to even bring it up because it's just so serious, and I know we like to have fun on this show. Did you see him making linguine and clams? Did you see that video?
No.
See that video of Jeff Stoutland making linguine and clams? Did you see this?
Didn't see it. No.
I feel like he's really good at making an Italian dish. I don't know.
Can you play?
There's two things I trust Stout with. It's turning a tackle into a guard and making a good pasta.
Well, everything was good until the end, and then he ruined it.
Ugh.
You Metagon?
How?
He did the cheese. You don't do cheese on no fish dish with cheese. You don't
Ooh,
do it.
yeah,
Really?
clams
No
and cheese.
pecorino romano, no
I agree
Parmigiano
with that.
Reggiano.
Yeah,
No,
I agree.
you can't do it. You literally will be
What about a
refused
little
in motherland.
Locatelli?
You'll be exiled.
I'm just impressed that you know Locatelli. That is
Yeah.
great.
Well,
And
did,
Locatelli is great on a nice jar of ragu.
did he grade his own cheese, or did he use like the Parmesan Kraft out of the green container and just sort of shake it on there?
And the Bobo
I
brand
believe-
too, Harry.
Yeah,
Not even
right.
the craft.
My
one, you do it,
ancestors
you
are
do
turning
full
over in their grave thinking about the sauce suggestions we're making here.
Well, first off, if it comes in a green cylinder, that's sawdust. Don't even touch it, okay? Don't even
Okay.
put it on my table.
All
But I
right.
believe he was grading his own cheese. I will give him
Okay,
credit
well,
for
that's
that.
good.
I think he was doing his
You'll
own.
be
Yeah.
the paisans on the show will be happy to know that I go to Carlino's and get the Locatelli fresh.
Let's go.
Yeah.
There you
Carlino's in Ardmore.
No, I go to the one in Westchester where we
Oh,
did the
okay,
show.
that's
Harry.
true. Yeah, right.
There you go.
Here's
Beautiful.
another observation. I find it funny that Louie and I, who both have great heads of hair, wear hats every day on this show, and the
That's
two
true.
bald guys are always bald.
The mullet's not
Yep.
great for the camera. I don't think.
I have found that the baldness helps the light in the room.
Oh, really?
Me,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Spreads
like
it
one of
out.
those like things, that absorbs the light
Yeah.
and takes people's eyes off of my face.
Oh, okay.
I need one less light bulb in this room just because shine right here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. That's the way that goes
Yeah, I
down.
got one.
That's
I got
huge.
an orb coming.
It shows
right
what
here.
great team players. It shows what
Yeah.
great team players. Jason, it
That's
shows
right.
what great team players these guys are because they're like, I don't want to flaunt it, and then these follically challenged upside down heads. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
I'm not
very
going to
kind
show
of you
off the
guys.
hockey lettuce.
Yeah.
The way everything's like
My
kind of
guys.
with the two bald guys up top and two hat guys at the bottom. Let's reshuffle. We just go like this. Boom. There we go.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Oh no, it still happened. Hold on. Let's
I mean,
reshuffle again.
Yep.
I think we're just going back. Me and Harry just switching spots on the bottom.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
It's not
Nope,
working.
same
Damn it. Oh, we had a
Fun with
shuffle button.
technology. There you go. All right. We talked about Tyler Steen. We obviously talked about AJ Brown, his influence in the locker room, what could go down, what could go wrong, all this stuff. Well, Jalen Hurts, being the true leader that he is, gets picked off by a guy and then compliments him. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On Eagles Squad show on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Back after this. And how about Monarch Money? You guys taking advantage of all they have to offer at Monarch Money? Well, you should, because it's amazing. Let's say you're saving for a car. Let's say you got young kids. You're saving for college. Monarch Money is exactly what you need. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. So do what I do. Go to monarchmoney.com and take advantage of what they're offering right now. Go to monarchmoney.com. That's monarchmoney.com. And you can get that complete financial command center right there at your fingertips. That's how incredible they are. So if you need help, not just saving your money, but also building wealth in the long run, Monarch Money can do it. So make sure you're taking advantage of all they have to offer at monarchmoney.com. That's monarchmoney.com. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch Money can help you out. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's promo code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. All right, let's see where we shuffled around. Similar spots. Bald guy's still up top. Hat guy's at the bottom. All right, so the guy that's probably jumped out the most, and just in terms of like who's been the most impressive so far, at camp. Quinyon Mitchell, now, we knew he was a star going into it, and all he's doing now, as much as you possibly can at training camp, he's solidifying his star further. Now, what I like hearing is that right after he came up with the first pick of training camp, the guy that was singing his praises more than anybody was the guy who threw the pick, and that was Jalen Hurts. I know that we look at the outside corner spot between Adoree Jackson. We talked about the harsh realities that Vic Fangio laid out there with Jackson and with Keely Ringo and all that. But one of the biggest compliments came from Jalen Hurts on Quinyon Mitchell, and that was, Louie, I loved it. I'm his biggest fan. Now, you don't want to be celebrating the idea of getting picked off, but when it's helping the maturation process of a guy who jumped onto the scene as a rookie outside corner like Quinyon Mitchell, and a guy that most likely will be traveling a lot this year to try to take away the other team's number one wide receiver, yeah, I'll take all the compliments you can get from your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I personally love it. I think it's because Jalen Hurts is actually close with defensive players, too. There was a picture of him hanging out with a lot of the defensive guys after practice, and that's important to me because I don't think that's always the reality in the NFL. I think I don't want to say it's cliquey, but like positions stay together. They're in meetings all the time. Right. And, guys are just naturally closer with their side of the football. And sometimes it feels almost like a separate team, but Hurts talking about Quinyon kind of just shows in general how much closer this locker room is than even past Eagles locker rooms. Like Carson Wentz, I've defended him for a lot of different reasons, but one thing he was not great at was going outside of his group of guys in that locker room. And it's part of what rubbed a lot of players the wrong way. And Jalen, it does feel like it's the opposite. He takes the time to compliment a corner that, just like you said, picked him off in practice, and it was a great interception, it sounded like. So I think it shows how good Quinyon Mitchell is becoming, a potential all-pro step in year 2. But for me, it was more of kind of a reflection of Jalen Hurts' leadership, and again, because that hasn't always been the case in Philadelphia with a lot of their quarterbacks.
But is that going to bring up his Madden rating? That's the real question.
Probably not.
No.
How about that? Yeah. Well, that's a rough one, guys.
No, but that is great stuff out of Jalen Hurts to do that. Like when I saw that, I'm like, you know what? Like that's the intangible kind of stuff that really can make the difference, especially when you're looking at a team, trying to repeat. Quinyon Mitchell didn't have any interceptions, I think, last year in the regular season. He had 2 in the playoffs, but not in the regular season. So imagine if this guy does start to find the ball a few more times. I know he was close on a couple or whatever, but like he picks up 4 or 5 interceptions in regular season. That's probably the next step for him.
Yeah, he's getting the ball back for Jalen Hurts if he does that to have opportunity. I do love the fact, too, that Hurts is getting his arms around everybody, not just his side of the ball, not his unit, because a football team is factions just by its nature. They break off into separate rooms to look at film, the offensive line room, they break off into factions. And yet, like Louie said, those things you can kind of just focus on your little group a little bit more because you have to confer with them and get on the same page with them more. And the offense doesn't have to do that with the defense. They're not working in concert. So for him to get his arms around everybody and look, he's the leader of the football team. He's the spokesperson for the team. And sometimes I think the defenses do feel slighted when the quarterback never comments on that side of the ball. I think that's just a leader. It doesn't seem forced with Jalen Hurts. That's just a leader being a leader. That's just who he is. It seems really natural to him.
That's how you get a Sprite commercial, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. We didn't even talk about that.
What a pioneer. No, what a pioneer.
Yeah.
Do you think Jalen Hurts has ever drank a sip of Sprite in his
Probably
entire
not.
life?
I have. I enjoy the beverage, but
it's caffeine free.
You know who used to have the Sprite commercial?
Grant
LeBron.
Hill. Oh,
LeBron.
He did. That's right.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
Well, I remember Grant Hill had the Grant Hill drink Sprite, that commercial. That I don't know why I found that so funny.
What year was that Grant Hill was relevant?
You probably
like
weren't born.
You probably weren't. Yeah.
I was like, my head saying, was Grant Hill that good that he got a Sprite commercial?
Yeah.
Grant
Hill had all kinds of hype, man, but he couldn't stay healthy.
Duke
that's
kid,
the last time.
Yeah, out there in Detroit.
I watched his dad play football.
Wow.
That's how old I am.
Yeah.
Calvin Hill.
All right. Not to be this guy. I got his dad's autograph.
No way.
I got his dad was working. I think he was working security for the Baltimore Orioles. My grandfather was an usher for the Baltimore Orioles. Behind home plate, Calvin Hill came down to take care of something. My mom handed me the program and a pen and said, get that guy's autograph. I was like, who is that? The security guy? She's like, just get his autograph. And she goes, just tell him you know who his son is, and he'll love it. And he did. He was like the nicest guy in the world. Yeah.
Calvin
How do you
Hill
know me, young man?
He went to Yale, I believe. Calvin.
Really?
I just want you guys to know you were volunteering this information that dates you, not me. I wasn't bringing this up. You are actively giving us this.
I'm proud of how much sports I've seen.
That's good.
Actually.
You're like Quint in that scene in Jaws.
Yeah.
Showing all the scars, Harry.
Mm-hmm.
I just went on a 14-foot Mako. Yeah. 300 people went into the water that day. Only 5 came out. That's the Philadelphia sports fan that's got some mileage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scars on there.
I don't think I've ever heard any fan base more proud of saying the phrase, I was at that game, more so than a Philadelphia fan.
Like you say for every sport.
Yeah.
Like
everything. Yeah.
Drew Batteries game is one for the Phillies, right? Or
yes.
When the guy fell into the penalty box and tried to fight Ty Domi at the Flyers game.
I knew that guy.
Yeah, the Santa Claus came up.
Did he become friends?
Falcone was his last name.
Yeah.
Didn't he become friends with Domi?
Maybe.
I would say Domi probably respected that.
Yeah. He was from Delco.
I was at the game.
He was a Delco guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
He wasn't even a season ticket holder. He was using somebody else's ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
See, this is all.
You had
this is
those
all
games.
about. Yeah, this is all about
I was
Jalen
at
Hurts.
the body bag game,
I was gonna say.
right?
No, but it is a point of pride. It's a beautiful point of pride. But to spin it back to Jalen Hurts for a second, when it comes to the comments he made about Quinyon Mitchell, obviously it's great. But it's funny. I was listening to the press conference, and Louie, you even mentioned this on Tuesday when you referenced the fatigue makes cowards of us all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think a lot of us have heard that before. Maybe
It's
that's
General George S. Patton, by the way.
Is that who? Okay, I saw somebody put that out there. I wasn't sure if that was true, but okay. But the other thing that he said that did raise my eyebrows, and yes, it was about Quinyon Mitchell and the interception, how much he was applauding that, but it also has to do with what you guys were talking about when it came to he's not clicky. He got asked a question about how he's going to the defensive side of the ball, how he walks around the offense, and he seems to be doing a little bit more of that than he did a year ago. And he was like, he acknowledged that it's a little different and that he's got to, talk a little bit more, maybe. He alluded to that. And then he said, he was asked, like, what guides you as to who you talk to? And the thing I liked about it is there was no rhyme or reason for it. It's just what the moment called for. Similar to Kevin Patullo talking about what kind of offense he wants to run, what he wants to do, limiting Jalen Hurts running the football.
Situationally based.
Situationally based. That's you got to be fluid. You got to make sure that you're thinking on your feet. You can't just say, this is my plan. I planned for this, so I have to use my plan. No, the plans change. So if Jalen's going into a practice being like, I got to really make sure I talk to Jahan Dotson today, or he's going into practice talking about how he wants to talk up Jalen Carter, how he watched him beat a guy in front of him or whatever, then he's just going to do it. It's not going to work as well unless he is rewarding it in the moment with his own attention. And I thought, you talk about a guy who had his leadership question last year with Jason Kelsey leaving the locker room, Fletcher Cox leaving the locker room. We were all asking the question, does Jalen step up and become more of a vocal guy? Because the words were that he would defer to A.J. Brown to be the talker. Mm-hmm. And last year, certainly more of a leader. This year, it sounds like he's doing something, not necessarily stepping out of his comfort zone, but just making sure he's doing more to make sure that these guys don't ever turn into some rudderless ship.
And the good sign is that's like most of the team. I mean, Nolan Smith even gave a lot of credit to Lane Johnson's leadership last year. So it seems like that's the whole team where players at different positions are interacting and helping each other out. And I think that's important. Even Brandon Graham showed that with how close he was with Jalen over the years. So that's an important part of the locker room. I wouldn't say that. I'd say that's pretty unique.
I think the thing is with guys stepping in, when leaders leave, whether that was Kelsey or players through the years, and then you lose a guy like Brandon Graham last year, that the guy who steps into that role doesn't try and be Brandon Graham.
Right.
If you're going to lead, you have to be authentic. You have to do it your way. You cannot try and be somebody else because everybody sees through it. So if Graham was that guy who was a rah-rah guy, I'm pretty sure he's a pretty rah-rah guy and tons of energy. Somebody can't step into that role if that's not their natural disposition. You got to step into that role and fill the void of leadership in the way that you lead. So you always worry about that when leaders leave. But good franchises have guys that came in, saw the leadership, and then they learn how to be their own leader and they step into it, and the leadership changes, and it's always evolving. I don't worry about that because this organization has so many leaders.
Yeah.
Like you talk about, like Lane Johnson, I think is just a guy that leads by being a no nonsense. I do the work. In the off season and everything. I saw him carrying some enormous sled barefooted the other day. Like, did you see that thing? It's got like 900 pounds on it. And he's walking with it, and he's barefoot, like on a turf field. I'm like, this dude's.
Well, he was grounding. He was grounding with the earth with the bare feet.
Well, with 900 pounds, you're pretty grounded.
Yeah, he's probably into that. But hopefully Jalen Hurts goes and gets in A.J. Brown's ear and tells him how great he is before week 4. We may have problems.
Yeah, but not too great. Not too great.
Right.
He's great.
Yeah.
Not too great. Yeah, right. Louie, I know you got to bounce, but before you do, I just want to mention these names real quick when it comes to the injury report today. Zach Bond, back issue. Drew Makuba, shoulder issue. Devontae Smith, back.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith, concussion? What are we doing?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Makuba's missed 3 straight days of practice. That's not ideal.
So. Will Drew Makuba ever play for the Eagles? 610.
Fangio needs you on the field if you're going to be starting from day 1 as a rook.
Exactly.
So
second round bust.
He'd like to play, but he's hurt all the time.
The best ability is availability.
That's Bill Parcells said that, I think.
When we come back, we will talk about those Madden ratings because here we go. The latest slight to Jalen Hurts. Oh, my goodness. Right. I'll just spoiler, he didn't even break 90. Like me on the golf course. Did not even break 90. We'll be back in a second. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show on this quick blink of a break. Louie, good to see you, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
All right. From beyond the grave, gentlemen. Madden is slighting Jalen Hurts. At least that's how I'm thinking of it. The Madden ratings did come out, and Lane Johnson, on a positive note, Lane Johnson was made part of the 99 club. That's impressive. Now, where did Jalen Hurts rank amongst quarterbacks?
Now, is this 0 to 100? Is it 0 to 100?
I think the lowest you could be is 12.
Okay, but the highest is 100?
The highest is 99.
99 is the highest.
Nobody gets 100?
Wow.
Like Calvin
I don't think
Johnson
anyone gets 100.
They didn't get 100?
Okay.
I don't think he did. No.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the highest grade. That's why I always joke, like, if I was to give my wife a Madden rating, the awareness would be 12. I think I always say that.
Whoa.
That's a shot.
It's just honest. Like when you put something down, I don't want to say what it is because that'll be looked at as totally sexist. I'll say it, a laundry basket. Put a laundry basket down at the top of the staircase. That's poor awareness.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to come buzzing around the corner. I'm going to go, fall to my death because I tripped over a laundry basket.
Maybe that's what she's trying. Maybe that's the intended point.
Maybe that's planted there purposely.
I think I got to move a bedroom downstairs. You know what I'm saying? But Josh Allen, 99. Lamar Jackson, 99. Joe Burrow, 97. Patrick Mahomes, 95. Matthew Stafford at number 5, 88. Jared freaking Goff, 87. Justin Herbert, 86. Jalen Hurts, 86. Justin Herbert used to be the guy that pissed me off the most. Now it's Jared Goff. How the hell is Jared Goff above Jalen Hurts in anything? Anything.
Because it's a video game ranking based on yards.
But I would think Jalen Hurts, he's got the one incredible. You're running with Jalen Hurts. That's like an incredible thing. You can still throw the deep ball with Jalen Hurts, obviously. Tell me what this makes zero sense to me whatsoever.
Can you run the tush push on Madden.
Yeah, right. Is tush push a play on Madden?
Yeah.
Well, I know they added
huge element.
They added the Saquon Barkley leap, the no-look hurdle.
Yeah,
maybe.
But look, the Madden ratings lack nuance. That's the thing.
True.
They lack nuance.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And nuance is a big part of Jalen Hurts' skill set.
Yeah, great point.
Like Baker Mayfield's number 9. He's behind him at 85, and Jaden Daniels is also 85. These are the top 10.
Okay, well, I had him, 6th? So where does he come in? What number, if you're going down,
8.
is he? Oh, he's 8. Okay, because I had Goff behind him. Definitely, and I had Herbert behind him. They have Herbert tied with him.
I don't know how you could watch a Super Bowl and watch him air it out in the biggest possible game against that defensive coordinator and think, yeah, but he's no Jared Goff. Like, what the hell? Like, that to me, of all of them. Like,
Where's
I get
Lamar?
Lamar is
99.
number 2.
Oh,
number 2 at 99, yeah.
Okay, wow. Interesting.
I'm at a point with the hate from Jalen Hurts that even a video game annoys me now.
Wow.
And I know
I think you're looking for things to just annoy you.
I live a peaceful life, Harry. I live a peaceful, very.
You have to do Sixers podcast in the summer.
Yeah.
You're very angry.
Peaceful
You are
about
not
that.
living a peaceful existence.
No.
Yeah, but Keith is so chill. Keith is like the chillest guy you could ever meet.
He is chill.
Like when I started doing the podcast with him like 2 months ago, people were like, "Oh, Keith laughs."
Keith Pompey.
Yeah, he's the man. Keith Pompey.
Let's go with Keith Pompey.
Yeah, Jeremy Van Sciver says that Jared Goff has a rag arm. Think if he's got a point. If Jared Goff played in Lambeau, let's say, instead of the Dome in Detroit or in Buffalo, there'd be a different Jared Goff.
Yeah, see a lot of wounded.
I agree.
Stuff flopping around.
Yeah.
I agree. And by the way, the guys that are 5 and 6 ranked 88th ranking, or excuse me, 88th rating and 87th ranking rating are the 2 guys that were traded for each other from Detroit and LA, in Goff and
Stafford
and Stafford. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's something.
It makes Allen a little bit more impressive too, where he plays.
Yeah.
He's
He's perfect for that
Yeah,
spot.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And now they're going to get a dome. Yeah. Bye-bye home field advantage, Buffalo.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now the Dolphins will come up there and kick your ass in December.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the
You know what's
they
funny
do.
though? You're right. You're looking for things not necessarily to be annoyed with, but just things that a guy like Jalen Hurts is going to use as motivation. Because I don't doubt for a second.
Oh yeah.
If you're hanging out with Michael Jordan, out with Michael Jordan in Greece, you know what I mean? Like they were for the the Jordan brand party. To be a fly on the wall there.
Yeah.
Then you're looking for things to put the quarter in every once in a while. And I think Jalen Hurts is definitely that guy. One of the greatest shots they had before the Super Bowl was him. I think he was walking to media night through the bowels of the Superdome. And he looks up at that monitor, and it has everybody picking the Chiefs to beat the Eagles. And he just looks at it and goes, and keeps walking.
Yeah.
Don't think he didn't store that in the memory bank.
Of course. Well, has a reporter asked him about the Madden rating yet? Have they had a chance to?
No, I guess his next. He'll address the media, I think, early next week.
Okay. Well, Tim McManus will do it.
You put McManus on the case.
Yes.
Tim McManus, ESPN.
Yes.
Hanging out with Michael Jordan too. You know Jordan. He's bananas, right?
Yeah.
And because he doesn't have to get himself hyped up for anything anymore, he puts the quarter in Jalen Hurts. He's around him going, I don't think you're crap. Like he's making stuff up to get Jalen Hurts motivated.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing that because he doesn't have to do it anymore because he's not playing unless it's around a golf or whatever. But with Jalen Hurts, he's like, and I'll tell you, that guy said something about your wife, or like he's crazy. Like he's like, I got a power to be able to motivate people.
I'm picturing Jordan in Greece because I assume he goes there a bunch, and he's like translating things in Greek for Jalen Hurts. Jalen's like, "What's this sign say?" And Michael Jordan's like, "Oh, this sign says you suck in Greek, so you better remember that."
Super Bowl.
Ladies and gentlemen, another fun-filled squad show. We appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On Eagles. Our friend Louie DiBiase has you covered each and every day for your Locked On Eagles daily content. Harry and JC got you covered throughout the season when it comes to your Locked On Eagles postcasts. So make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. For Louie DiBiase, Harry Mays, Jason Bertitas, I'm Mark Farzetta. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Look forward to talking to you guys again next week about everything Birds, Tuesday and Thursday at noon for Locked On Eagles Squad Show. See you guys then.